You're listening to the Morphology Podcast. Thanks for tuning in to the Morphology Podcast. Hey, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to this podcast and give it a thumbs up if it's deserving. It helps me out a lot. Anyway, aka Murph here to share interviews about biking experiences from cyclists who have pedaled to places all over. Each week, we will get to know new people and explore new destinations to ride your bike. As you listen to these adventures, you may wonder, why haven't I done that yet? On the show today is gravel racer Kai Takeshito. Growing up in Japan, Kai always looked at the bicycle as a means of transportation rather than recreation, and she really didn't get the gravel racing bug until adulthood. It's obvious she's a quick learner as she continues to embrace and, dare I say, she enjoys the sufferfest of endurance gravel racing in terrible conditions like rain, cold, mud. Today she's going to give highlights of her most recent race and first place win of the Iowa Wind and Rock, which is a 340-mile gravel race. Enjoy. All right, well, on the show today we have Kai. Hey, Kai, how are you doing?
Hi, it is wonderful to be here.
Good,
Thanks, Kathy.
good. Well, I found you on maybe it was Instagram, I'm not really sure. Lots of photos of you doing bike racing, and I got pretty intrigued, started following you, and then I saw that you ended up going to do an event here in Iowa called Iowa Wind and Rock, and not only did you go to the event, you won. You won. So I was so excited that you agreed to come on the podcast to talk a little bit about what you do in the cycling world and especially about that event. Do you want to start out by maybe telling us a little bit about where you live now?
Okay. Yeah, so I currently live in northwest suburbs of Chicago.
Oh, okay.
And, it can be very brutal in winter, so I tend to just hide in the basement to ride my bike in winter time. Well, especially it's easier than time efficient, but during springtime, summertime, fall, it's pretty nice out there as long as you're away from the busy area. So then I just go ride bicycle beyond the suburbs, and I do travel quite a bit using, vacation, weekend, holidays to find some great event. And my gravel definitely is my favorite. I've been riding gravel since 2014.
Oh, okay. So when you are leaving Chicago to go for a training ride or just for a fun ride, can you find gravel pretty close?
Not really.
Oh, okay. You have to
Yeah,
drive?
I have to drive. We have to be, I gotta be on highway 2 hours to find good gravel. So I don't ride a lot of gravel.
Mm-hmm.
There are some trails, like rail to trail,
Oh, sure.
type trail, but some are just paved. Others are paved gravel. I think
Mm-hmm.
gravel definition can be anything. So I guess if you mean if it's not paved and it's gravel, then I guess it's gravel. But,
Yeah.
yeah. It's not anything like chunky gravel or tough gravel or anything. It's not around here.
Mm-hmm.
But if I drive to west, about 2 hours at least, then there is an area called the Driftless. And that's the area that didn't get flattened. So it's pretty hilly, and they have a lot of unpaved roads. So I do go there once in a while.
Mm-hmm. So we should probably mention that you have not always lived in Chicago. You actually were born in Japan. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So when I think about Japan, I don't always think about cycling as recreation. I think about it more as a form of transportation. So do you want to tell the listeners a little bit about, well, A, if that's true, and B, how you got into cycling as a sport?
So yes, it is very true. It is definitely a transportation. Every household has a bicycle, and we use it to go to work, go to school, go grocery shopping and all. Some people don't even own the cars because they can just walk to public transportation that they can just bike to the train station and all that. So, it was the same for me as well. They do have cycling as sports. They have road races, mountain bike, track, Keirin and all. But when I was growing up, I didn't see them as sport at all. I didn't even see a drop bar bicycle in person.
Oh, wow.
We all ride like city bike, city commuter type bike
Mm-hmm.
with basket. We got the light and lock and the stand. So that's what everybody had. So how did I get into cycling as sport? Right. So when I came to the US, that was when I was 19 and I didn't have a driver's license. Well, because in Japan you have to go to a special driving school to go get a license. You
Mm-hmm.
can't just start learning. Then I didn't go to that kind of school. So I needed to get around and I went to a bike shop and that was the first drop handlebar bicycle.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, and I was very surprised because I never thought a normal person could even purchase such bike because I just never I had never seen that kind of shape.
Well,
That
and
type of bike.
yeah, and most people that you saw, if they were on their commuters, you probably just didn't see people on drop handlebars.
No, not at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So then, well, I got a bike for, school time, during my college time, but still I didn't think it was a sport or anything. I just didn't know. Then I moved to Chicago. I got a job, then moved to Chicago, and I had no friends. I didn't know anyone. So after work, I started going to local like neighborhood forest preserve to just ride around my bike because I had nothing else to do.
Mm.
And I started seeing some fast people in colorful spandex. I'm like, oh, what are those people? So that's then they're very nice and I made friends and eventually like after quite a bit of time they invited me for you know local training ride and then I discovered there are cycling clubs and there are century rides and so it's just step by step.
Yeah, yeah. And then at some point, you must have decided, or maybe you want to tell us the progression because I assume that you probably do a little bit of Zwift when you're at home, or maybe you used to. And then at some point, cyclocross and then gravel became your cycling choice.
Right. So yes, so I started out with riding with the local clubs, and I did a lot of centuries. And I met my current husband, who also rides a bike, and then we did a lot of riding in Chicagoland and Illinois, Wisconsin. And one year, I think that was 2014, we had a mini bike vacation in Arizona in wintertime.
Hmm.
And in one of the group rides we did at that time, there was a cyclist from Minneapolis. He told me about gravel, and I didn't know what it was. I never even heard gravel bike or gravel cycling or
Sure.
anything.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but I think at the time in Minnesota, gravel was already flourishing. So I go home, look up what gravel is, and look around, and luckily I found semi-local gravel race event, maybe like 2-3 hours away from my home, and I went to do it. There was no gravel bike in the market. I only had road bike and a commuter bike.
Mm.
So I took my commuter bike with full fenders. And that was my very first time I rode anything other than paved road or
Wow.
crushed limestone trail. It was so loose, like I felt like the ground was moving underneath me.
Right.
And like I probably had a white knuckle. And it was springtime. It was so windy. It was gusting like it was definitely gusting like 30 miles per hour because I was getting blown away from one side of the road all the way to the other side. And I had to get off the bike before I just fall into the ditch. Then I just had to repeat it like over a dozen times.
Oh my gosh.
It was really tough. And the number that we attached to the bike, it got blown away. So I had to put the bike on the side of the road, and I had to run to go get it
Just go
into
find it.
a farmland. Then it rained at the end, and it was very, very hard. But it was so much fun. Like, it was so much fun. And it just, I don't know, something clicked. Sense of accomplishment. I felt really good. And I wanted to do more of it. And luckily, there were some people in Northern Illinois that were riding gravel. So, I started riding with these people, and yeah. So that's how I started with gravel and cyclocross too. Yeah, cyclocross I picked up on in the same year.
Mm-hmm.
So, two off-road things in the
Nice.
same year, 2014. Yes.
And I would consider those to be kind of extreme sports because of like what you said, where the ground is moving and air pressure in your tires is really important. And then of course, you're focusing what you're seeing versus what is under your tires. So
Yeah.
that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Oh, well, I like it. So also.
Yeah. Well, do you want to get into specifically Iowa Wind and Rock, and talk about a little bit of a recap?
Yeah, so Iowa Wind and Rock. So I've heard about it, like, for a couple years, and then before that, its predecessor was Trans Iowa,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew some of my friends were doing this, so I always knew about it. But whatever I hear was horrendous. It's like 340 miles in April. I don't even know who has that kind of legs.
Right.
That kind of legs are not ready in April. That mileage is just so great, and the weather is probably very crappy.
Yeah, because it is in Iowa, so
Right.
You never know if you're gonna have snow or rain or whatever.
And Q sheet navigation. Not that I'm not used to it. I know how to use Q sheet because everything was based on Q sheet before. But we kind of get soft once we start using GPS navigation.
Sure, yeah. And so let me ask you a question. When you think about Iowa Wind and Rock and you're saying Q sheets, is it true that you can't pre-plan for the route, right? They show you the Q sheet the morning of the race. Is that true?
Yeah, that is true. That is true. They guard their course very, very tightly.
Wow.
I had no slight idea on the course. I didn't know if you're gonna go north or like east or west or south.
Wow.
I had no idea. Yeah.
And you're doing gravel roads, but also are they called B level, where they are more like farm tractor roads?
Yes.
So there's not always like street signs for you to follow. So you're doing Q sheets and not knowing the route ahead of time. Like that in itself is extreme.
Yeah, it gets stressful, especially like later on. Like you have no idea where you're supposed to go. And I think, at night too, I started seeing the same. I thought I was going like west, and I started going east, and then I'm going west again, I'm going east again, and like, what am I doing? Am I just riding in circles, or where am I going?
Oh, jeez.
And even at the checkpoint, little tiny town, I can see the name of the town, but I don't know that town.
Sure.
So I have no idea where I am. I suppose if you pull up your phone and if you really wanted to check, you could, but I didn't. I had so many other things that I had to worry about. So that was one of my least concern. However, just not knowing like what's ahead, what kind of terrain's ahead, and where the wind's gonna be coming from, and all that kind of stuff.
Right. And when it's you said 340 miles?
Yes.
So when you're doing that, obviously you're going to be riding during the night, but are you sleeping at all, or are you just doing it straight through?
That we were doing straight through. I'm not going fast enough to have any sleep time. But it was really rough. We got really sleepy. I'm trying to wake myself up by singing or, just hitting my cheek and trying to, just say something so loud that I'm awake.
Right.
I tried the chewing gum and all that, but none of them worked. So ended up just stopping, not laying down, but stopping and just put my head on the handlebar, just close my eyes and rest my eyes, and it actually helped a little bit. But I had to do it so many times.
Yeah, I can't imagine that. And through all of that, you ended up first place in the Women's Open. So what did that feel like?
Um, well, going in, I didn't put too much importance on placing. I was more, my main mission was to finish. Like I wanted to complete it. I wanted to come back in one piece. I always tell myself on gravel, especially like a really, really long one, and you don't know what's going to happen. Completion before competition, because if you don't complete it, you can't even compete.
Right.
There are so many things that could go wrong. You're going to have to take care of, each of them. And I didn't have any mechanical. There are moments that I got really hungry, but I didn't have any bonking, so I was okay with nutrition, and everything just went well. And I happened to be the only female finisher, so that took me to the first place women. And it feels good, but I was very, very happy that I finished.
Right.
Completed my mission. Yeah.
And I can only imagine, based on the weather and the terrain, that people had a lot of mechanical issues.
Yes, especially in the B road, that's the minimum maintenance road that they don't even have gravel. And like you said, there are lots of dirt. And if you have to be smart on dealing with the B road, because if you try to ride it, there is a pretty good chance that you break something.
Yeah. So you're actually hiking a bike, right?
Yeah. My footprints were the very first footprints that was placed on the B road. I got off right away.
Well,
I'm not messing with it.
I was going to say, and it paid off because you did not have any mechanicals.
Right.
That's great.
Yeah, I have broken my radiator already, a long time ago, trying to fight the mud road because I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I got a little smarter.
Yeah. Do you want to tell the listeners if you had any mental highs or mental lows during a race like that?
So this particular Iowa Wind and Rock, I think as far as mental goes, seeing the endless hills, it was in many ways mind blowing. It's just you climb, and it just goes on and on and on. It just never ends. And you feel like, when is it going to end? If it's a mountain, it's going to end.
Right.
You're going to get to the summit, and the other side is all the way, downhill till you get the rest. But this, you climb one. Okay, yeah, you have a little bit of descent, but you climb another one. And the terrain was like when you look at the saw from the side, just up, down, up, down,
Oh,
up, down.
yeah.
You don't have any flat part in between. So after doing that for so many hours, I got really tired of even trying to use the momentum of downhill through uphill. It's just, I'm tired. I don't even want to do it. I'm going to just coast that little tiny downhill. Then I'm going to just spin easy. I just use the easiest gear, and I just tried to climb up. But it was just endless. And then, like I mentioned, not knowing where I'm at.
Yeah.
And not knowing where I am going. So that was another thing. And it just, when you look up, then you see this long, winding road or long, hilly one. It's like, oh my gosh. Then this race director, who is also a course designer, Sarah. I'm just saying, Sarah, you can't do this. Sarah, I don't even remember how many times I said, Sarah.
I think she finds great joy in finding the worst route, or maybe she would call it the best route. I don't know.
I think she would call it the best. Yep. She is somebody. She is such an accomplished cyclist, and I think she likes things to be really, really tough.
Yeah.
And yep, I think we are enjoying.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
So, how do you like mentally prepare for a race like this when you don't really know what you're getting into? You do know it's going to be tough. Like, what's your mental game going into it? A quick interruption to give a shout out to Primal Wear. Cycling is their passion and apparel is their craft. So if you are in the market for a new jersey, bibs, mask, or any cycling apparel, go to primalwear.com and use code PRIMALMURPH to get 20% off your purchase. Yes, 20%. Now back to the show.
I think I know somewhere in my mind that like something tough is also something really, it can be really fun.
Yeah.
Although you might not think it's fun when you're doing it, but I know it will be fun afterwards. So I think I just can't resist the temptation of something unknown because it's after all an adventure, and I
Yeah.
think I like adventures.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I'm assuming there are times when you were pedaling where you're like, this is awesome. This beats, sitting at home on the couch.
um,
Maybe.
I think the best moment for me was the second day sunrise. I was going east,
Mm.
so I could see the sun rising. And there were some clouds. The sun was right, like I could see like sun's light through the clouds, and that moment was the most beautiful.
Mm.
And I was just surrounded by, like little hills, mounds. It just, endless hills, but they're all green. It was not brown. It was green, and
Mm-hmm.
then sun's rays were on it. And the green was shining. It was so peaceful. It was so beautiful, and I just wish I had taken a picture. But
Yeah.
I knew that my picture wouldn't be as good
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
than professional photos, so I didn't stop. But it
Right.
was a really great moment, and I felt like, oh, it's gonna be so easy going back. This is so great. That's what I thought. But it wasn't easy going back at all.
Oh man. So, and I was going to get into that, the fact that you just said your second sunrise. So, I mean, you were on your bike for a long time, and
Yeah.
I can relate it to. I did a century ride this last weekend, the Grand Gable. It
Nice.
wasn't a race, and I am not a seasoned century ride biker.
Mm.
Bike rider, I should say. And again, it's the end of April, so I experienced, like as far as like physical, like my pinky went numb and my little
Oh.
toe went numb. And, this was just for 100 miles total. And we got off our bikes a lot, stopped and had lunch. I had a beer at one place. So it wasn't a balls out, let's go as fast as we can go.
Mhm.
But when you look at your experience when you're in these long, long races, how does your body hold up?
Uh, it was pretty rough. At one point when I got off the bike, I think it was at the checkpoint, I thought my abdominal muscles were gonna shudder.
Mm.
Like, because I think it was due to a lot of climbing. Because in Chicago, we just don't have any climbing.
Mm.
I consider the highway ramp a hill. So it was a lot of climbing. And I think my abs are working really hard. So that was that. But I think what was worse was my knee pain
Mm.
and also the pain in the feet. And I don't know if the pain in the feet came from the shoes that don't fit well, but I think it was fitting well. I think it just wearing the shoes and pounding, just too many revolutions for
Right.
like 20 plus hours, and my feet were hurting so much. And then the knees, then again, knee pain has to be coming from so much climbing. Then I don't do a lot of climbing.
Mm-hmm.
And, even if you put the climbing aside, it's just so much riding, that many hours. I never did that kind of hours. Then winter preparation, although I tried to do as much as possible, then I I managed to put like 3 or 4 centuries beforehand.
Mm.
I guess it just wasn't enough to handle without the pain,
Mm-hmm.
and it was so painful. And I wanted to scream, but even if I scream, it's not gonna go away. So
Right.
I just didn't I didn't. Then I just told myself after thinking, oh, it hurts, it hurts. I was like, well, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. It's fine. It's fine. You'll be fine. You're okay.
And it worked because you made it to the end.
Yeah, it worked. It worked. Yeah. You just have to keep repeating that until the pain becomes background noise and you just forget about it because eventually it just goes somewhere else because you're thinking about something else. And
sure.
And when it comes back, you just have to tell yourself that, no, it does not hurt. You'll be okay. You'll be okay. It's not like I'm bleeding or nothing. So
right.
I'm okay.
Right. And then like when you look at nutrition and hydration, you probably don't have a lot of room on your bike to store that. And I'm guessing rural Iowa, there maybe is a gas station here and there. But how did you manage having the right amount of nutrition and hydration?
Hydration, first, the hydration was one of my biggest concerns because I just wanted to make sure I had enough water. It's okay. So we have checkpoint 1 at mile 81, and then checkpoint 2, which is 110 miles after. And then it's not a checkpoint, but we knew there was a gas station at mile 256, and then you're gonna roll in at mile 340. So there are not a lot of places that you can refuel. So I needed to make sure I had enough water. And then if you have some sort of trouble while riding, you may be sitting there for like 1 extra hour, 2 extra hours, and you may be needing more water than you prepared. And I knew there will be some like farmhouses, but I know those farmhouses have dogs. I'm not gonna go near.
Yes.
I'm like, I have to carry all the water I need. Then I knew the temperature was not going to be so hot, so I knew I wasn't going to be drinking, as much as I would in summertime, but I had one Camelback. I think that was, I can't remember the capacity. I think it was like 100 ounce on my back, but I knew I couldn't carry that much on my shoulder because it's too heavy. So I only put half the amount. Then I had 2 really, really big water bottles, and each capacity was like 33 ounces or something like that. Then I tried to calculate my average speed. Hopefully that's my average speed because you never know what happens. But then I did some calculation. I'm like, I think that's about right. I think I need about this much water. And that kind of worked out. I had more than I actually drank, so which was good.
Yeah, that's what you want.
You want to carry more than you need because you never know what happens. In fact, I had one plain water in the leg 1 because I thought I would encounter B road like pretty early in the day, and I knew I needed water to clean off my drivetrain, so I made sure one of the bottles was like plain water, nothing sticky in there and nothing sugary in there. Then it worked out because I was using that water to clean off stuff. So
that reminds me, we should give a shout out to Rose Willie. She's a friend. She's been on the podcast before, and she does gravel racing. I think she carries a spatula with her so that she can get rid of the mud when she gets done on B roads.
That is very important. Yeah, I do the paint stick, but I think
paint stick,
it's a really good idea.
Yeah,
but I had a toothbrush.
Oh, okay. So you have something that you carry along to get that mud out.
Yeah, I had a toothbrush in my back pocket along with paint stick, and then I had 2 more toothbrushes, one in each drop bag. So I had a total of 3 toothbrushes.
Oh man!
Just in case I lose.
Did you have a snack or treat that kind of gave you a mental boost?
Yes. So the food, I put so much food in the drop bags, and I put so much food in my frame bag, far more than I actually needed. But bacon jerky was really good.
Oh, nice.
I don't eat bacon usually. Not that I don't like anything, I just don't buy them. But Yeah, I was like, okay, it's got some fat and it's got some protein, it's got salt, and sounds
Yeah.
perfect. And it was perfect. I finished all the bacon jerky I prepared while I didn't finish a lot of sweet stuff I put in the drop bag. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it worked out really good. And yeah, I have some favorite food like dried fruits and what's that? Peanut nugget, like the pretzel.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're filled with peanut butter.
Right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really good too. You know, it's a little salty because you can't just keep eating sweet stuff. You get tired of it.
Right, right.
Yeah. And I just didn't know what I would want, so I put a lot of stuff in bags and I just pick what I want and just leave what I don't want.
Yeah. Well, and when you're biking that extreme, it doesn't really matter what you eat as far as, you're basically just trying to fuel. So
Right,
whether it's a lot of calories or sugar or whatever, it's whatever your body needs at that moment.
right. Yeah. Oh, and then I also bought a sandwich at the gas station store, which was located at mile 256. That sandwich tasted so good. And the gas station cappuccino, the pre-made
Oh,
one.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's something I usually don't even drink because it's just too sweet and
Right.
all this, but that just tasted so good.
I'm sure if you like drove by that gas station right now, just
Yeah.
as a normal day, you'd look at that sandwich and be like, "Oh my gosh, I ate this?"
Yeah. But that was such a luxury to have that store there,
Yeah.
especially hot drink. It was cold at night. I don't think it went down to freezing, but I knew it was like low to mid 30s, and it's dark. We don't have the sun. It was pretty cold.
Yeah.
I was prepared. As far as clothing goes, I think I prepared really great, but still, I really wanted to have something hot to drink, and there
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
Woo,
So
very
be
happy.
so besides the beautiful sunrise and the awesome gas station, anything else cool that's worth mentioning that you want to talk about? A quick interruption to tell you this week's podcast is sponsored by Lizard Lips Lip Balm. These great lip balms contain natural ingredients, come in a variety of flavors, and you can choose certified organic or balms with sun protection. Check it out at lizardlips.net. Now back to the show.
Yes, just riding this Iowa wind and rock brought me back all the good memories
Mm,
from like early gravel times of mine. It's just beautiful scenery and just me alone riding alone
yeah.
for a long time, and yeah, it just being so simple. Event being so simple and hard. It just reminded me of a lot of good experiences I had, over the years, and it was really good. I was very happy. I was really very happy to remember all the memories. So
Yeah.
that was a good moment.
Oh, that's awesome. And that brings me to the next question I was going to ask you is I'm assuming that you've done many other races, but do you want to give us a couple highlights of some races you've done?
Yeah, I did do quite a few races. I'm pretty sure I haven't really counted, but I'm pretty sure I went over a dozen states just for
Mm.
gravel races, single speed only
Oh,
gravel
geez.
race. And Cog 100, it's 100 comes from 100 miles, but well, it ended up being 110. But I did that 2 years ago, 2019, when he first put it out, and that was the very first and will be my very last single speed event. That was the longest century ride I have ever done. I didn't think I was gonna take that long.
And
So yeah,
what state was it in?
Iowa.
Oh, so you experienced the hills of Iowa on a single
Yeah,
speed.
but yeah, this Iowa Wind and Rock was far worse. But
Mm.
this guitar tech stuff, I had like other issues. So like hills was not the only problem. It's like I only got one gear, then
Right.
I don't even know which gear to choose. I just had a couple options in my basement in my storage, so I just took the middle size. Small, middle, big. So I just took the middle.
Oh
I'm
my
like, hope it
goodness.
works because
One
I don't even know how to choose the single speed.
one
And
one and done. That's a great way to say that.
right. And then, Yeah, so that was really something that was cold
Wow.
too. Yeah.
Wow.
That well-known one is like DK200, which is now Unbound. You
Mm-hmm.
know, Long Run, which is now Mid-South, Michigan coast to coast, Crusher in the Two Star in Utah, and Gravel Worlds, Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
Hillbilly Rebay it's always my favorite. It's such a fun race. And Unpaved in Pennsylvania, SBT in Colorado. That's pretty new. And you know, then they're not the only races. I mean, there are quite many other races.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they're all good. Some are very big and with a lot of sponsors, and some are very grassroots. And I enjoy both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Are you mostly doing gravel now?
yeah.
Okay, so
That's what I like.
so you are into gravel now.
Yeah,
Do you?
totally, totally.
I don't know if you have multiple, but do you want to tell the listeners about your gravel bike?
Yes, I did accumulate quite a few bikes over the years, but for gravel use, currently I mainly ride a team bike, which is Factor Vista, and I also have 3T Explorer,
Mm.
which has a lot more clearance for bigger tire and mud, and like that bike quite a bit. I also have Kona, that is a steel bike in think you can call that drop bar mountain bike.
Mm-hmm.
You can really put mountain bike wheels, and you can put mega sized tires. So I am hoping that I can go a few bike packing
Yeah.
on that bike this summer. Adventure awaits.
And hopefully you will return to Iowa at some point, even though you've just experienced Iowa wind and rock.
I have to say I thought I was so Iowa out when I was riding, but after the race you forget all the not so good part and you
Yeah.
only remember the exciting parts. I'm like, okay, I think I'll go back.
That's awesome. Well, like overall, what do you think like keeps you motivated to go for that next bike ride?
I like things that are new to me because I just like unknown stuff and not
Mm-hmm.
adventures. But also, I like the people, like gravel people. I think gravel is all about community. Just I made a lot of friends over the years at many gravel races and gravel events, and they keep me motivated to ride. Seeing what they do and seeing where they ride, and just meeting up with them at the next ride and all. It is a lot of fun, and I enjoy the camaraderie. So
I
yeah, I think that's what
definitely,
I like.
yeah, I definitely think of the gravel as a community. Like you said, it just seems like everybody is in it for each other, which, if that
Mm.
makes sense. Like, when you put on the full spandex kit and you're at the starting line on a pavement race, you don't get as much eye contact and saying hi to people. Where in gravel, everyone's just all like, ready to have a conversation, and it just seems different.
It's a lot more relaxed. Yeah,
Yeah.
atmosphere is a lot more relaxed, and I think it's a lot more friendly
Mm-hmm.
and inclusive. And I think it just not so intimidating.
Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of like the race is more about which line you're going to take on the gravel and how nice the rocks are going to be to you.
Yeah.
Well, what's next for you?
As far as my racing goes,
Yeah.
I am planning to go to the Unbound in Kansas at the end of the month, or I should say at the beginning of June.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a few races planned. Nothing is very solid. However, I do plan on doing some races this summer. And like I said, I wanna squeeze some bike packing in. I wanna do something new, like something that I've never done
Mm-hmm.
either. So we'll see. There are too many things I want to do. I'm just trying to figure out how I can do them all.
Yeah. Doesn't it feel great, though, to be able to do in-person racing again?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's so great to see. It's just so great to see friends, and it's just so great to feel the air on air on
Yeah.
your face and skin, and then enjoy that with other people. Yeah, it's so great.
Oh, yeah. I completely agree. Well, before we go, is there any like sponsors or passion or any organizations that you want to promote?
Well, I want to give a shout out to this wonderful Iowa Wind and Rock,
Yeah.
um, because they put a lot of time and effort to make this happen. So we riders can enjoy the weekend. It's not even, they don't even have the entry fee to the riders. Donation is welcome, and it's 100% community funded. The amount of time and effort they spend behind the scenes, I can't even imagine. I know it's so much work.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how do you say, labor of love.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate like everything they did. So I really hope that a lot more people, like many more people, would like participate and enjoy the event in the future. It's hard, but it is really hard, and it is long, but you can make it anything you want it to be. If you just want to see how far you will go, you know, then go for it. I think gravel is for everyone, and everybody can enjoy it in a way they want. And this event is like really great. Very grassroots, very friendly, very inclusive, and so easy for everyone to get access to. So, yeah, I have to say I very much recommend this event.
And you could volunteer if you weren't ready to actually ride it. You could volunteer to
That's
be,
right.
yeah.
That's right. Oh yeah, I love those volunteers. They're stellar. They're just there to help. You need anything? Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. Well, Kai, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. It was wonderful to be here.
Yeah, I loved hearing about it, and we'll look forward to seeing more of you in future.
Super.
Well, listeners, that's it for this week. Thanks so much for tuning in to listen, and big thanks to Kai for coming on to share her story. Although the closest I'll get to Iowa Wind and Rock will be volunteer status, I definitely have a better understanding of what it's like to pedal nonstop for 340 miles, and I'm so impressed with Kai's physical and mental capabilities. I know I'll be keeping an eye on what she does next. iowawindandrock.com is the website if you want to find out more about this race. Also, if you go to Kai Takeshito's Facebook page, you can read her amazing and detailed recap of this event. Of course, if you have a topic or the name of a cyclist you find interesting, email me at murphologypodcast@gmail.com. Please visit my Instagram page for daily entertainment and check out the Murphology YouTube page to find videos of some of the places I go with my bike. I'll leave you with this quote from the Unwritten Book of Murphology. Hard things are put in our way not to stop us, but to call out our courage and strength. Think about it.